It's live stream now.
Okay, got it. Thank you guys, everyone. Welcome and thank you guys for joining in. We'll just wait for another 2 minutes for more people to join in and then we'll start the session. Thanks. Awesome. So welcome again, guys. Thank you all for joining in. I am Kaushal Bhasa, VP of Platform Engineering from Omdena. And today with me, we also have Ramansh Sharma with us. Ram, if you are okay, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Amansh. I am a platform engineer here at Omdena, and I'm excited to be launching this amazing initiative today with Kaushal.
Awesome. Thanks, Ram. In today's session, we'll be discussing about what OmdenaLore is, and then we'll quickly go through the documentation and the repository. We'll talk about how you guys can contribute to OmdenaLore and what are the steps that you can take to contribute to OmdenaLore. Finally, we'll discuss with benefits, and then we'll have a Q&A session. After the documentation and the repository overview, we'll also have a mid check-in or mid Q&A. So you guys can post your questions in the comment section of your platform you're watching in, and we'll answer those during the Q&A sessions. So what exactly is OmdenaLore? So OmdenaLore is a community-driven library or collaborator source library that has been built by Omdena collaborators. The code base is actually a mixture of tutorials and code structured by specific domain names like computer vision, NLP. The vision behind or the inspiration behind OmdenaLore is that in Omdena, we have been conducting multiple projects in the past with different domains. And other than the results of the project, we have observed that the collaborators gathered a very rich knowledge resource, knowledge base in terms of research as well as code bases. And what we wanted to do is to collect that knowledge or that code base into one single platform and make it available for future projects. While we were doing that, we observed that it's not just useful for the Omdena collaborators, but it is actually useful to any data scientist or any machine learning engineers across the world. So what we thought of, why shouldn't we make it public? Since we are making an impact, we know people who want to make an impact in this world. So we want to share this repository, this code base, and this knowledge of Omdena to the world so that people can use it in their own project and accelerate the development process. Since the library contains code that has been used in previous projects, the code is actually used in real world projects. That makes it very, very versatile and a code base that is generally used by data scientists. So when you use OmdenaLore into your package or your project, basically it helps you to increase the efficiency and decrease the development time. Since this code is made by certified Omdena collaborators, it's actually made sure that the code is actually the highest of the qualities that you can get. Other than that, one of the aspect of this repository is that we also have knowledge base. What does that mean is that we are also going details in the in the further slides, but just to give you a brief, knowledge base is actually the resources that we collect during a project or in the start of the beginning of the project. We also collected those resources. So whenever you start with a project or you start with a domain, you get a list of resources that you can go through, so you can get familiar with that type of resources or that type of domain names, domains, and get yourself familiar with any future errors or any future edits you want to do into your projects. Of course, the code is actually tested in the real world project, and we believe that this can be the largest AI for good library, and and you guys can be a part of it. So let's go through the documentation and the repository. First, I want to show you the landing page of Omdena. Ram, can you make sure that the screen is visible? I believe it is.
Yeah, I'll check it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So thanks. So this is the landing page of OmdenaLore. You guys can go ahead to omdena.com and OmdenaLore, and this page contains some details that I will be mentioning you guys today. The very first thing you see is a contribute button. Since I mentioned that this repository is collaborator sourced, and we want to make sure that anything that goes inside this repository is highest of qualities, we demand the collaborators who want to join. We would demand the collaborators who want to join to first apply to be a part of a collaborator, and then you can be a part of collaborator, one of the collaborators on the repositories. So the contribute button takes you through this form, and you guys need to fill up this forms to get access to this repository and start collaborating. And pretty much it contains information that I just mentioned. Also, there is a link here called by the name of documentation. If you click on it, it will take you to OmdenaLore documentation. This is one of the key parts of OmdenaLore, as it does not just contains information about the code, but it also is a place where you can find the knowledge base. The whole documentation is actually of 5 parts. The very first part is the component part, where you can find information about the code that has been submitted to OmdenaLore. So if you go inside computer vision, let's say you will find multiple classes and functions that you guys can directly import to your projects. The next part is the knowledge base. As I mentioned, these are divided in according to the domain name, and there are more to come. It contains articles, tutorials, and repository. I highly encourage you guys to go ahead and check it out. It's actually public, so you can check it out right away. This is the link omdenaai.github.io/knowledge.html, and you guys can directly go inside the knowledge base. The third part is the OmdenaLore guidelines, which is actually meant for the collaborators who want to contribute to OmdenaLore. It contains the structure of the repository, some description about the repository, also the guidelines. If you're new to version control software, some guidelines on how you guys can upload your code, create, clone, as well as make a pull request, and any technicality you might need during the contribution. We also have some guidelines on how you can create a pull request, as well as how you want to draft your pull request so that we can accept your pull request as soon as possible. Some things to keep in mind, and finally, how you can document your code. Some code of conduct, we highly recommend you to read and go through the code of conduct first before you start collaborating to OmdenaLore. And last but not the least is the FAQ and the support. You can find your frequently asked questions here, but if you cannot find your question that you want to ask, go ahead and reach us out to this email, and we'll respond to you as soon as possible. Now, the star of the show, the repository itself. We actually host the repository on DAGSUB. If you are not familiar with DAGSUB, it's actually a version control software which is based on Git protocol. So your common command on Git, like git clone, git add, git push, git commit, everything works with it. The repository has multiple folders which are actually supporting folders, like for example documentation. We have some tests and tools, but the main folder that you guys will be interested on is the components folder, um, which contains basically multiple domain names. If you go inside a particular domain, you will find multiple modules related to that domain, and you can check out the code that has been contributed to this repository. If you go to the root folder again, you can find a folder called samples. Inside this particular folder, you will find multiple notebooks, which can help you understand how a code works from start to the end. So basically, it will help you to understand how a particular pipeline or a workforce goes on. Um, Also, you can also find a folder named docs. Inside this, you will find the open source documentation that we provide. So not just the repository, not just the knowledge base, but the documentation is also contributed by the collaborators themselves. You can go ahead inside the source and can change the documentation and create a pull request, and we'll change it according to you. Other two important parts of the repository itself is the pull request section and the issue section. Whenever you are done with your code base, you go ahead and create a pull request. As you can see, we have already closed 49 of them and 3 are still open. So we'll go ahead and do that as soon as possible. But this is the section where you create your pull request and commit your changes. And we review it. We ask you if you have any changes to do any changes, and we accept the changes. Last but not the least is the issue section, is where you multiple collaborators come and add what they are working on, and other collaborators come to the same issue and they start working on it together, um, on the same issue. You can create your own new issue, or otherwise you can hop onto any issue that already exists and start working on it. So that's the overview of the repository. So any questions, any questions you might have, just comment down in the platform and I'll ask. And we'll also have another Q&A session after the session ends. We still have some slides to go through, and after that, we'll discuss another Q&A session. Okay, so I don't see any questions right now, but yeah, feel free. Don't hesitate to ask any questions. Um, I'll try. I'll present my screen again. Cool. So, how or what can you contribute? First of all, thank you guys for staying with us so far so long. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. So what can you contribute? So first of all, what you can do is explore the repository. As soon as you fill up the form, we'll have a 15-minute onboarding call with you. We'll discuss some important aspects of contribution and the repository itself. And then we'll give you access to the DAXUP repository, and you can have access to the code. The first thing we recommend you to do is to explore the repository. See if you are interested in a particular domain that is already there. If the domain that you are interested in is not there, we recommend you to start collaborating in that or contributing to that domain, and we'll add that domain as well. Uh, add code blocks as per your interest, and then you can choose your code block from your past projects that you have already conducted, structure them and add those to the repository, or either you can start ahead and contribute anything which you really like or really interested in. You can also find useful resources from your domain of interest and add them to the documentation. As I've already showed, that there is a knowledge base, and inside that knowledge base, you can add your interest of links or articles or anything repository there, and you can contribute to that as well. We also recommend you to scrutinize and give feedback. The OmdenaLore team is very active and highly motivated to make it better every single day. So every feedback that you guys give us, we make changes according to it, and we regularly improve the repository. So the call for action, how can you contribute? The very first thing what you want to do is to create a DAG sub ID. It's pretty intuitive. I don't think you will face any problem there. And second, we will recommend you to go ahead and fill the form, and that will give you access to the repository after the 15-minute onboarding call with us. Then we add you to the team, and then you can start by pushing your changes to the repository by creating a pull request. We review your pull request. We ask you to change anything if required. Otherwise, we just accept your pull request, and then that's it. Your code is actually visible inside the repository and inside the documentation as well. If any issues or suggestions come to your mind, you can head on to the Slack channel. We'll add you to it, or the Discord channel. When you fill up the form, we'll add you to either a Slack channel or a Discord channel. You can raise your issues or suggestions there, and we'll respond as soon as possible. So, what are the benefits that you can get out of being a part of OmdenaLore? As I already mentioned, it's a great opportunity to be a part of the biggest real world inspired AI library. And since we are making a very good impact on social projects and environmental projects as well, it will give you a good exposure to that kind of problem statements, knowledge resources, as well as codes. So it's a good opportunity to be part of of OmdenaLore. Also, you can make an impact even if you're not a part of Omdena projects. You can still make an impact on those projects, because whenever you push a code inside the repository, Omdena collaborators use it in their projects. And since we have made it public, others can also use that code inside their projects. We also conduct sprints regularly inside Discord, in Discord, and you guys can also be part of that sprints. And inside that sprints, we discuss, we code, we share suggestions to each other. Sorry, yeah. So we discuss a lot of things there, and it's a great opportunity to learn from your peers. We also have some experts inside the community, and you can also take some guidance from them as well. So it's a really good platform to learn a lot. Also, you can also gain some experience by solving real-world problem statements, because inside the repository and the issue section that I just recently showed you, inside that we'll be inviting a lot of organizations, NGOs, to post their questions or anything they're working on, and you guys can also solve those questions or problem statement that a real-world company faces or NGO faces, and you can gain experience from that. One of the things that we do is that we feature the highest contributors or highest contribution in our website as well. So it's a good form of exposure as well. Also, good collaborators also become reviewers for future pull requests. So you can also be part of OmdenaLore team, while also you get an experience in working the open source culture. So yeah. That's pretty much it from our side. I'll take up the questions. So somebody asked, how can we access to this site now? What you can do is go ahead and visit omdena.com/omdenalore. This is the landing page of OmdenaLore, and you'll find all the necessary links that I've shown you. The very first link inside this website is that the contribute button. You can click on it and it will lead you to a form. You can fill it up, and basically you can be part of OmdenaLore through there. Also, if you want to check out the documentation, you want to check out the code inside the repository, you can click on the documentation link at the bottom of the page, and it will take you to the OmdenaLore documentation, which I just showed you, and you can read more about it.
I think there's also a question on the repository link, and can they see it without being accepted first?
Cool, thanks, Ram. So since this is a closed source repository, as I mentioned, it's not closed, but it's a collaborator source repository. what we want to make sure is that any code that goes inside the repository is highest of standards and highest of quality. So you can not directly contribute to OmdenaLore. First, you need to fill up that form that I just mentioned. After filling up that form, you can get access to the repository once we accept your application. If you want to go and dig deeper on what exactly is inside the repository, you can always check out the documentation as I shown you what I showed you. Inside that documentation, you will find multiple code blocks as well as examples of how you can use the code blocks. And this will give you a good idea on what is exactly inside the repository. So if I just quickly share my screen and I'll show you exactly what you can find inside the documentation. So if you go inside the components folder, as I mentioned, go inside any of the modules that is already inside the repository, and you can check out the functions that are already there. Since this documentation is actually searchable, so you can actually search out any of your interest. Let's say if you want to search out some function, you can go ahead and search it out. It will give you that function. Also, you can also check out the knowledge base and the contribution guidelines to know more about what exactly is OmdenaLore and how it is structured. So the documentation itself will give you a good idea on how everything runs inside OmdenaLore and how everything is structured inside OmdenaLore. So the presentation is actually not shared. What you can do is that you can head on to the landing page, and everything that I've mentioned today, everything that I have informed you guys about today, everything is here in the landing page itself. You can find the form link. You can find some of the information that I've shared. You can also find the documentation link and some FAQs inside it. There is also an FAQ section inside the documentation as well. So anything that I've shared today with you guys, you can actually see it here itself. So yeah. Okay, that's a really good question. So I just got asked that, can I apply to contribute even if I don't have any particular thing to contribute, and what will be in the interview? So it's not an interview. First of all, whenever you apply, we just have a quick call with you and we try to understand your motivation and give you enough resources so that you can implement what you want to do inside of the law. So it's not an interview, it's just a conversation between you and us. And we'll just discuss basic things as like what you want to contribute. You say, I want to contribute in computer vision. So we'll just guide you through how you can contribute in computer vision. We'll just guide you through sprints and other OmdenaLore processes. So it's not an interview, it's just a conversation. Secondly, what exactly do you want to contribute and how you can contribute? So even if you don't have a particular thing to contribute, we have a very rich issue section inside the repository. So whenever you reach out to that repository, you can open up the issue section and you will find multiple things that people are already working on the inside the repository. So if I quickly go through the issue section, and I hope you guys can see my screen. You can find people working on web scraping. You can find people working on replace some library with another. Um, you can find topic modeling and DOM parsing and HTTP programming tools and stuff like that. So we have multiple domains and multiple things that people are already working on. So you can hop on to that and start working on that. Or either you can just go ahead and explore the repository and find your interest inside that. So let's say if you are interested in computer vision, but you see that there is something lacking in there, you can go ahead and contribute that code inside it. So it's pretty much open to you, whatever you want to contribute. Even if you don't have something to contribute, we still have some collaborators that are working on something. You can talk to them. It's a community, so you can talk to them and discuss with them and start working. So it's completely open to you guys. So the reason why we ask you guys to fill up a form is that we don't want to spam the repository with codes and pull requests. We want to keep everything structurized and everything uh, you know clear basically, and that's why we ask you guys to fill up a form. It's not kind of an interview that we conduct. And one of the things that I forgot to mention is that inside OmdenaLore, we are not looking for experts. We are just looking for talented or motivated individuals who are motivated to make impact through their coding knowledge and domain expertise. So it's not like that. If you have expertise on certain domain, you can go ahead and contribute. Even if you do not have expertise, you can still come in. We'll guide you through the process. We'll guide you through how you can contribute according to your interests. We do have sprints, so you can educate yourself and learn a lot of things from your peers. So it's kind of a community. It's not kind of, it is a community, and you can discuss together and start working on it. So you don't have to be an expert. Please don't hesitate to ask any question. We're here to help you. Ram, would you like to add anything to the presentation or anything?
I think you covered it really well. And I'm really happy to see so many people engaging in our live chat. So thank you so much for asking your questions, everyone. And I'm excited to see how we can grow and build the initiative further along once more people start joining and contributing.
So OmdenaLore is actually has been created a 1 month or 1 month and a half back, 1 month, 1.5 months. And till now, we have a lot of contribution inside the repository, which shows that um, we have a very talented and motivated team to contribute to OmdenaLore, and you can find a lot of activity that is going on inside the repository. Overall, we have more than 35,000 line of code inside the repository, just the code. We still have, on top of that, we have notebooks, we have knowledge base, and we have documentation on top of that. So it's not just the code itself. Um, Awesome. So thank you guys for joining in. I don't think we have any more questions left. If you still have questions after the call, after the event, what you guys can do is fill up the form, and we'll have a conversation with you. You can ask your questions there, and clear any of the doubts you have. Also, if you don't want to directly apply and still want to have some clarifications, what you can do is go ahead and inside the FAQ section, inside the documentation, you can go ahead and check out that documentation. Inside FAQ section, we have email that you can click on or use that to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to answer any of your doubts or any of your questions that you might have after this. Thanks again for joining in, and I'm really excited to see you guys inside the repository.
Thank you so much, everyone.